Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Crypto Vatsik. Before we get started, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button. And if you find this content helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on new material. As always, this is not financial advice. These are my opinions only. All right, let's go. Okay, so today I'm going to review two different altcoins, Gala and MANA, and I'm just going to go through some quick technical analysis and give you my current thoughts. Okay, so starting off with MANA, we had this is an interesting one. We had quite a large vertical pump on the previous bull market that we had on this one. And when you zoom out on a chart like this, you kind of look at it, kind of wonder, how can you actually do some TA on this when it's just like coming down here and flatlining out. It's really, there's no much price action going on. And, if you zoom in and really take a look at it, in more depth, there's a lot that the chart can actually tell you. So just by starting off, I always like to start with the range. It just gives me a good starting point, I feel like, to begin my TA. So I'm going to take it. Normally, you want to take your range from your swing low to your swing high. So I would take it up here, and you could do that. That would be fine. But I think for this one, I'm going to take it just because we're in such a narrow range within this area and played more down here. I'm going to take it to this high over here where we saw some nice reaction. Okay, so we'll leave it there for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the bearish case, okay, and then I'm going to take you through the bullish case. I think it's really smart to look at things both directions and not just assume it's going to go one way by just looking at a chart, drawing a few lines, and kind of deciding from that point. So I'm going to just do everything I can see to argue that it's coming down further, and I'm going to do everything I can see to argue it's going to come back up, okay? And then you can make your own decision at the end of it, but this is just how I operate. So right off the bat, the first thing I notice is that we're hovering in the lower band or the lower half. Okay, this is the EQ, so the lower 50% half of this range. And the fact that we're hovering more in the lower area means that it's a very weak market. There's not much demand, or demand is being tested very heavily, and you prefer to hover in the upper area. Okay, so the pressure, you can feel the pressure like it's knocking on the door kind of thing, right? So it's knocking on the door, it wants to drop below, and eventually that will break. So that's what I'm seeing right off the bat with this range right now. And we're just not getting any kind of reaction. We had a little bit of a pump here. We came into demand. We had a little bit of a pump. And so let's just draw out. This is our area of demand clearly, right? So right down here in gray, that's demand, right? So I draw a zone because we can wick down to the bottom. You can bounce to the top. There's room for play within this area. And we are testing demand for sure, right? We're putting it to the test right now. And the fact that we're hovering pretty close to this macro low, okay, so this macro low made on May 11th down here, right around 66 cents kind of thing. This area, the fact that we're hanging out down here so close to that macro low doesn't sit well with me. I would much rather we were hovering somewhere up here doing this same market structure, but somewhere up here with this macro low much lower. But the fact that we don't have that much far to drop to really test whatever's left within this wick of demand. Okay, so whatever demand is sitting down here, whatever orders are waiting to buy, could get eaten up, and I don't like being this close. So that's the next kind of point. And the reason why that worries me so much is because the next major point that I would target if we were to drop was we are sitting right at the beginning of this bull market, right when this huge wave started, right? We're sitting right when it began. We did full circle. We came up, we had a bull market, and right back down, right to this level. Okay, so that's clearly why we're hanging out, I would say, right around this area for now. And then the next area, I would go back to basically where we bottomed out on this previous, mini cycle that we had and bottomed out. And I mean, you could argue that in these areas of demand, there might be bounces, but I think ultimately if we break this macro low, I'm targeting down here, unfortunately. And it's a bit of a scary drop. When you start getting down to these prices, the volatility starts getting high, right? So this is 43%. So maybe we don't. Maybe we came down halfway and then we bottom out kind of thing over time. But if we start to break down from here, it's not good. And that ultimately would be my next target to start DCAing in, maybe in a range in some sort of zone right above it. But I won't go too macro right now. Let's zoom back in and stay focused on what we're seeing right now. So without, obvious to say here is that we've got obviously the EQ here in the mid-range being resistance, right? So you can see tapped it as support. Okay, above support, broke down below, resistance, support temporarily, resistance, support, and so on. So it's obviously an obvious area of resistance right now, right around 91 cents. Okay, but where else are we seeing that resistance? Okay, so we're seeing it at a couple different areas. Further up, we're seeing it here when we got, I think on the daily here, we got a bearish order block right up here. Okay, so basically up here where this, I would say the last candle, it's basically the last top up candle that gets invalidated. So somewhere in there, I'm going to take it from this candle right here. Some people might take it from this one as the true last up candle, but we kind of broke market structure here. You could argue that, yeah, I was following that trend line. So either way, the zone is relatively similar. So you can take it from either candle, draw the zone out, and there's supply up here. Okay, so there's clearly an area of supply that we have to put to the test if we're going to talk about breaking above this range. Okay, so that's the first step that I'm seeing. And then the second one obviously is just this recent bearish consolidation that we had right here. That's the next area of resistance clearly being tapped twice already at this point. Okay. And I always like to look for breaks in market structure from the downtrend, right? So I want to see basically come into demand. I want to see a bullish order block where big red, not necessarily red, but a red candle is invalidated, and then we get a break in market structure. And I'm just not convinced this was a break in market structure right here. Okay, so we're making lower low, and yes, this candle broke above, but we still had this wick here, and it only wicked above. So the fact that we only wicked above screams to me that this is more likely a swing failure pattern, an SFP, and it has not broken that market structure as of yet. So that's the first thing I like to see when I see a trend reversal, right? So when you see something like this, this is a clear reversal, right? We had a break in market structure, we had a bullish order block here, that candle was invalidated, made a higher high instead of low, lower, 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 and then boom, higher high right here, and then a retest, and then up we went, right? So that is what I'm looking for, and it's slow and it's grinding and it just kind of moped over and doesn't look strong. Okay, so that's mainly the key points for the bearish case. Okay, we can get into a lot of them a lot further, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep this short. The bullish case now, right off the bat, okay, we've got clearly established demand. This green zone at the bottom, it's been confirmed. Absolutely, this is our demand, okay, and it has been acting as support. It is not invalidated. It is still intact at the moment, okay. And the second thing is we have held this macro low. That is also still intact. As long as we hold above this low, then it's still intact. Okay, you could still consider this to be our macro bottom. It is at least our macro low for now. Okay, so those are the two first, just kind of obvious reasons. And then just as a market as a whole, just kind of wide scale, is we're seeing strength in a lot of majors right now. Okay, so though we haven't seen it in MANA yet, we've seen it in a lot of other coins. And sometimes ones lag behind others, and that's fine, right? So it's a good sign that we're seeing relative strength across the market, but just haven't seen it yet in MANA. Okay, so that's kind of just a more of a broader view. And then the next thing clearly is that we have this macro base, right? So this was our base from the previous cycle, right from this cycle started, right? We've got this base. So this is definitely a significant area. Okay, so I think it would take a lot for us to break down below that. This is where we had our previous bullish consolidation or accumulation in this area right here. Okay, so this is definitely our accumulation right there before we took off. And so the fact that we're at that base level, think of it as your base camp. Okay, so if things really go bad, yeah, we might lose base camp. We head to the next lower peak or the lower low, right? But at this point, this is base camp, right? We're right back at it. That's where I would expect people to be accumulating again. And depending on what Bitcoin and the rest of the market does, I would say this is a safer area at the moment to be DCAing in unless invalidated, okay, which would be a break of this macro low or a break of this green area of demand, okay. The other thing, when we zoom in a little bit further, is I'm going to inverse the chart right now. So a bearish scenario, if you saw this and this was going up, right, a bearish scenario would be that we are potentially printing a head and shoulders pattern, right? So basically you get your shoulder, left shoulder, you get your head, and then your right shoulder, right? And so basically that's a failed momentum of the trend, and you get this rounding kind of top, and that's essentially it's a potential for right now. Okay, and so obviously it's inversed. So let's take a look like this. Just inverse head and shoulders right there. Okay, so you got your left shoulder, head, and then right shoulder potentially. So that could lead us up to our EQ. And yeah, that's something what I'm noticing at this point. The other thing is I noticed this earlier is we have a pretty significant bullish divergence on RSI. Okay, so look at this. We had our low here and our lower low there on the diagonal. Okay, let me just get rid of those dots 1 sec. I'm very picky about having a clean chart, especially if it makes it easier for you guys to see. Okay, so you see this diagonal here, right here, lower low, and then huge spike in RSI. Okay, this is usually you want to usually you see something like this and you're like, oh yeah, we got bullish divergence here, and you're like kind of trying to find it, but this is obvious. There's no denying this is a massive bullish divergence here on RSI. Okay, and this is on the 12-hour, it's on the daily, I think it's on the 6-hour too. So anyways, this is a very good sign. This is a very good sign that this is a reversal. Okay. The other thing I'll just super quickly note, this is zoomed out on the weekly. Okay. I've hidden all the other drawings that I had on there. I just wanted to point out this massive wick, this humongous wick. Okay, so we dropped down all the way down to 63 cents and it pumped all the way back up over 100% off of demand. Okay, so this is, it might look weak, but there is demand down here still. This is definitely our area of demand. This is where I would imagine that long-term investors are going to be accumulating in that area. And yes, when you draw it this big, this is quite a large fluctuation in here. But just seeing this wick is a very telling sign that there is significant demand. Okay, and so I know it failed down, and we had this tiny little candle close up here, but it just is a sign that there is definitely demand down here. And if you're trading this on a little bit of a more micro time frame, then obviously I think it goes without saying that you'd want to enter in this area of demand. Maybe a retest of this low in here, somewhere in here, I'd be getting long, and then obviously your stop loss below this green zone of demand that's invalid down here. I wouldn't want to go down to below the wick. I don't think it would be a great R to R here. It's over, at 17% stop loss, so I'd basically be setting your stop loss below this green zone and trying to get in down here a little bit lower. So a little bit of a retest, kind of something like this. Okay, and stop loss below green if you're playing this on a bit of a shorter time frame. Okay, moving on to Gala now. I'm going to be super quick about this one to try and keep the videos short. Got to keep them under 15 minutes here. I've already drawn it on the chart here just to go through it really quickly. It's also very similar to MANA, so I don't need to draw everything out again and waste your time. But basically, what we're seeing is obviously we got our resistance up here. Okay, I had shared this on my Twitter. I'd said if you wanted to play this, I'd be looking to short around this area. We had a key area over here, right there. And that was our SR level at the time. And I had said, basically, I want to see a break of that, a retest, and I'd short target down here, the green area of demand, which happened. We didn't get that retest though. So it would have been, right here. We didn't get that retest, right? So I wanted to see a break of that. We had multiple touches over here and we just didn't get the retest. We just broke straight down. So it's hard to play it when it's so quick. But either way, we've got these levels here now. We've got this SR level down here as well on the dotted line. It's just clear resistance, right? We've got two kind of major areas of demand, which we've broken the first area right here. Okay, the top bigger green zone we have now broken, but we've got this double bottom pattern here. That's our support order block for sure. It actually broke this May low over here. It's actually lower already. So very interesting to see, but you just draw it out. It's confirmed. Nice reaction. Wouldn't be surprised if we came down and retested the top of it again to look for a long, and obviously stop loss below. But at the time when we were up here, it would have been a nice short. That's what I was looking for. But now that we're down here, I'd be looking for longs. Okay. Now, very similar to MANA, since this market structure being broken here is very difficult to read into the fact that we made lower highs, and then a higher high here, which you could say maybe that's our break in market structure. I want to see something like this. So this is a fractal basically taken from this area here. Okay, so I've just basically taken that fractal, I've drawn it out, and that's what I want to see. Something like this play out where it's just a little bit longer, where we came down, we tested demand, we came back up, we have a retest here, and then we shoot back up above resistance, above this green zone here. Okay, so that's pretty much it for now. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.